lecture and our guest lectures today. And first of all, we have the discussion today about some leadership style or styles. In a way, we had some ideas in one of the lectures before. If you remember the leadership styles we had discussed. Do you remember we had some leadership styles, and one of the leadership styles had been the coercive leadership style. What has been a coercive leadership style? You, for example.
It's do what I say, I guess.
Yes.
And it works best when the company faces a turnaround situation.
Okay.
Or
in a crisis, in a turnaround situation, exactly. It could be necessary that you have a coercive leadership style. Then we had another one. It was affiliative. What was the affiliative leadership style? Anybody has an idea? In a short sentence? 3 or 4 words. What was affiliative leadership style? This was the people first leadership style. And then we had another one. It was the pace-setting leadership style. What has been pace-setting leadership style? Any idea? This is a leadership style where the leader expects self-direction from his subordinates or co-workers, self-direction, and these are teams of experts, for example. And then we had another one. It was, if you think on athletics, which leadership style? Pardon? Coaching. What is the coaching leadership style? What are, please?
As a coach.
As a coach, but what is the task acting as a coach? If you think, for example, at the situational S2 Blanchard approach.
So you're improving the team even if the performance is good. And stop working. Stop working
on improving the team's skills, abilities, or also the team cohesion. For example, coaching style focus on personal development. Coaching leaders help people identify what. Coaches helps leaders identify what. What's your idea? Identify what? It's an important leadership task. Identify what?
Their own potential. And
potential, very good.
Their own capabilities.
What else?
Also their intrinsic motivation, what really motivates them, and they access with intrinsic motivation to motivate them in general.
And if you see some 2 words as a headline, they are identifying their what? Their strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Their strengths and their weaknesses, but all the other factors are okay. And when is this leadership style unsuccessful? What do you think? Coaching unsuccessful. Could it be unsuccessful or never unsuccessful? What is the reason if a coach fails? What is the reason if a coach is failing?
If you're working together with experts and they don't need any other coaching,
they are resistant against every idea, every new idea you have. They are resistant, and then it could be a failure of the coach. Now, we want to have or discuss another style, and this will be the style we will discuss today. It is the democratic leadership style. I will give you a quote from one of the members of the board of Thomas Sattelberger. Thomas Sattelberger is one of the members and of this Continental board, and in his idea, leadership expects and leadership challenges more democracy, because if there is democratic leadership, innovative potential, the innovative potential, the innovations will better come out. And if you think on our discussion in the last lecture, we have discussed two big leadership behaviors. Do you remember? There was egocentric leadership behavior against what? Ego against altro. Egocentric versus altro-centric. And now we are on the way from altro-centric to democratic leadership style. So what is a democratic leader? And then we come to the discussion of two styles. And one of them is the Blue Ocean leadership strategy. So first of all, what is a democratic leadership style? What do you think? The styles builds what? Democratic leadership style is a builder of what? A builder of what?
Participation.
Participation. Okay, good. Other idea? Participation is good. Other idea? The democratic leadership style builds consensus through participation. Consensus through participation. And this leadership style is most appropriate when what? When we have which situation? When we have which situation? Leadership in a democratic way is most appropriate when organizational flexibility and a sense of individual responsibility is needed. We will hear later more about this topic on a different way. And what is the criticism, or what is the problem in democratic, or what could be the problem in democratic leadership style? What do you think? What could be the problem? What could be the problem in a democratic leadership style? The downside of this style, however, is that it may result in indecision, decisionless, no decision. It could be resulting in indecision, and some people may left in which way? Some of your co-workers. Think practical. No decision or indecision or too democratic, too much participation. Some of your subordinates will be what? Will be confused, maybe. Will be confused, and these people are feeling leaderless. So, we want to come now to a strategy. Let me hear. Blue Ocean leadership strategy. Blue Ocean leadership strategy. Blue Ocean leadership. What is Blue Ocean leadership strategy? It is an approach from 2014 and 15, and researchers are partly from Harvard and partly from INSET. INSET, Harvard. So, INSET, Harvard. The name of one of the researchers is Kim Mobonnier. So, what is blue ocean leadership strategy versus red ocean leadership strategy. I think some of you have heard about red ocean market. What is a red ocean market? What do you think? Red ocean market. If you have heard something from marketing, and a red ocean market is a market full of blood, red, full of competition. Any beat another, full of competition. Piranhas as a bridge. And blue ocean, what is blue ocean? Blue ocean is the leadership, or is the potential blue, deep ocean. You are looking for potentials of your subordinates. And therefore, the researchers had some findings where you can do it in a democratic way. Therefore, we are on the democratic discussion of leadership in this case. So, what is the reason for employee disengagement? It's a very important question for you as the leader of the future. You have to find out if your subordinates are not engaged in their daily business or in their daily work. Now, you have to optimize this. Why? And how can you do this? There was a Gallup survey from 2013, and this was a State of the American Workplace report, and this State of the American Workplace report said that 50% of employees merely put their time in their work, but 20% of the employees act out in a counterproductive way. So these are employees which are not in a productive way. That means at the end that only 30% in this American 2013 Gallup survey, that only 30% of employees are actively working and are actively committed to doing their jobs or doing a job. So that's the problem. And therefore, blue ocean leadership strategy. What are the key differences? We have discussed a lot of approaches in our lecture. And now we want to take a look on the key differences from this new blue ocean leadership strategy to our discussed leadership approaches. We had leader-member exchange, path goal theory, emotional intelligence, authentic leadership, transformational leadership, transactional leadership. We had a lot of academic and also practical oriented leadership approaches. The key difference to blue ocean leadership strategy is that the focus is really strict on acts and activities. Acts and activities leaders need to undertake to boost their team's motivation and to boost the business results. Okay, we make a short stop. Evaluation, welcome. So here is the evaluation today for you, and she will, this is English, yes? English? Yes. And she will give you the forms to evaluate myself and my lecture. Now we want to go in the new definition of leadership, but first of all, the focus is on acts and activities, and to difference to the other approaches, this focus is the direct connection to the market realities. And the third factor is that leadership is like a democratic way distributed across all management levels, top, medium, and lowest management level. And the next, and that's the very important step for this leadership approach, is a new definition, a totally new definition of leadership itself. And the new definition of leadership itself in a sense of this leadership approach is that leadership attitudes, leadership behaviors can be thought of as a service that people in an organization buy from the leader or don't buy from the leader. I will give you an example. I know a person who is the president of the highest judge of the court. He is, or she is the leader of a lot of judges in a high court. Landgericht, big court, hard sentence. And this lady is a leader from a chamber in this court. And she said to me, I am a leader, but I can say, do this or that. The people do not or are not or do not follow, maybe. She has no direct, she can give no direct order doing something. So, only if the people, if their followers, and these are all high judges by themselves, if these followers buy her leadership decision or do not buy the service of her leadership decision. Now, we want to stop here and we want to discuss this Blue Ocean leadership style on the next Monday. Now we want to come to our guests from the University of Catania, and I'm very happy, I'm really very happy to have my two guest lecturers here in the university. And first of all, I'd like to introduce Professor Dr. Agata Matarazzo.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome, welcome, and I will give some short introduction. And she had a first-class degree in economics and trade from the University of Catania, made her PhD in technologies and economics of processes and products for the protection of the environment in a cycle from 1998 to 2001 at the University of Catania. Then she is a winner of a scholarship for 4 years research at the University of Catania in a disciplinary sector on the topic of quality management of resources and of the environment in areas of high environmental risk, also in the University of Catania. Then she is a professor at the University of Catania in Tecnologica dei Cicli Produttivi, and she is professor since 2013, and so she had a lot of internships and scientific collaborations with other universities and other foundations and researchers worldwide from the University of Catania and other research departments in the university and out of the university. So, my really great welcome, and I want to welcome also Professor Benedetto Matarazzo, and I'm very happy that Professor Matarazzo is also here and give us, together with her, some ideas about democratic leadership and some mathematical and other ideas later. And I will say some words also to you, professor, full professor at the University of Catania since many years, dean of the University of Catania since many years, and he is also a professor in mathematics, and he was, or he is director in Master in Financial Management department, and he is the the president of the Facoltà di Economy, and he is the president of the Corso di Laurea. It's like the master's program here and the doctoral programs also. And he has a lot of awards in academic and research and worldwide. And he is a speaker in worldwide universities, and so I'm very proud to have you also here. And he is a speaker in a lot of countries, and he is the gold medal winner. He is the gold medal winner from the International Society on Multiple Criteria Decision Making. And I will give you some idea to this gold medal award. It's really one step before a Nobel Prize. So I'm very honored that you are here today. So now I want to give you the auditorium. I will give you the slides, and then it's your auditorium. Yes? I will wipe a little bit this out. It's better for the reading.
Thank you very much to be here. So I am a researcher in Sicily. Do you know Sicily? It's in the south part of Italy. We live in Catania, near Etna vulcano. So a kind of leadership, small and medium enterprise. We have a lot of this kind of enterprise. I am a researcher for a quality system, safety system, and environmental system and instrument. But today we speak only about the quality system in a typical kind of small and medium enterprise. So, I don't know in Germany, but in Italy we have a lot of this kind of dimensions of this kind of enterprise. So, the quality system is based on a different kind of research. Different kind also the human standard international. I don't know if you have studied international standard for organization that is based on the leadership, the management, improving for excellent models inside in any kind of dimension of enterprise. Do you know this kind of international standard for quality system? So we little introduction in the two words. So the human research management, and then they improve the international standard organization, and then some excellent model standard is based on international models for human research. And then we explain what is the democratic strategy, what are the criteria, the values. And so the core of our presentation is the certification of this strategy, the core with business to improve the excellence of any kind of dimension of your enterprise. And then we make the advantage of this kind of models, and then the conclusion. But we have also the second part of our presentation with the principal MCDM approach that are based on this kind of new approach made to democratic strategy. And then we present also a case study in our Sicilian artisan sector. So we can introduce what is the quality now. What means quality for a kind of enterprise? You know that we have a lot of research in any kind of enterprise. In particular, we have three kinds of research. We have human research, economic research, and technological research. But when we explain the quality system management in a kind of enterprise, we have underlined the human research, labor, the jobs, who are the human your firm inside your kind of dimensional sector. Who are you? You can do for improve the profit, the excellence of your kind of dimensional or medium enterprise. So, very important is your curriculum vitae and studiorum, but also how your enterprise could improve your innovative strategy. Who are you for your enterprise? What kind of your mission, your idea, your objective in your life? What is your kind of strategic view, the point of view for quality of your future strategy in your job market? So this kind of strategy match the labor market with the human resource and with the objective of any kind of enterprise. So we based the democratic in a value of different kind of criteria to the most your ability, your skills, your preference in the kind of job in a different kind of enterprise. So this base is MCDA, multi-criterion decision analysis approach. And this is the second part of this presentation. So I begin to speak with this account standard, international standard for organization. It means for quality, for safety, but also for environmental systems. Do you know this? This is a different version, also the international standard. That means how enterprise could improve the excellence, decreasing the cost, increasing the profits. So, in this kind of international standard, we have also a lot of documents to achieve the certification of the firms. The top of the document to improve this kind of excellence is the manual, the quality manual writing from the leadership of the enterprise. And in the point, paragraph number 6, in this kind of document, speaks about human resource management. How you improve the skills, the certification, the core of your human resource inside the enterprise. Which are the capabilities, the skills, the current planning inside your enterprise. So we have also international standard different from ISO models, but is achieved the European Foundation for Quality Management, and the objective of this kind of certification is the excellence. At about 10 years ago, we speak about improving the performance of your enterprise in the market. Now we speak about zero defects to improve the quality management system, also the control in management system in all parts of proceeding phases. And then we have some criteria and some results that we have to measure the performance of your enterprise inside the job market. So we have the leadership that could plan the objective of its enterprise. And then you have to measure also the customer satisfaction of your enterprise in the market. Then when you speak of, with excellent measurer, you don't speak only customer satisfaction, but now we have to speak also with stakeholder satisfaction. And inside the stakeholder works, you have also the jobs, also the workers that are inside your enterprise, the human research that you have inside in your enterprise. And so we have a table, very particular table, where the name is radar, because it's acronym skills, the abilities, the conquisters of your human resource inside the process certification of your enterprise. And so we have the criteria to underline your enterprise and your resource. The component, for example, so the impact in social organization or also in environment organization around your enterprise. So the criteria, we have a lot of advantage with this kind of excellent quality management system. For example, you have the plan, your objective based on the human resource management and development. But also you can support the human skills in your enterprise. And then we have more communication between the social, the organization, the personal, and the skills of your human resources. And then we have also the prize that are recognized for the personal better in all the world for achieve the excellence. Perhaps this is the standard, more famous in all the world, because it is born in British Standard Institute in London, and then we have the base of the most certification human resource management system in all the world. It is based in 10 principles regarding the training development of your human resource in your enterprise. And then we have also criteria that we do the best of practice in your enterprise to put the advanced and the excellent in your enterprise. Do you know Deming, or one of the father of quality management system? He is very famous. He was born in Japan, but he has a long training in the United States. He was the father of improving performance of the enterprise based on quality management system. And he does a cycle divided in 4 quality indicators: plan, do, check, act. It is a cycle. And then we can be inside the 2 final steps in Deming cycle in only one in this kind of standard: review. Review is the check of your performance inside your enterprise and the measurement of the performance inside your enterprise. So we have the idea of cycle. If I do a question for you, which is the principal phase in the cycle? Which is the most important phase, which is the last slave? In a cycle, you have the principal, the second, the top, the down. All kinds of phases are important in the same way. So we have planned our object inside my enterprise. We do strategy. We do the human research, the financial research, and so on inside the strategy, and you review. You will measure the performance, the indicators, and quantify the profit inside my market. So we have different kinds of principles, indicators, and sub-indicators in investor, in people, international standard. This is made in British Standard Institute. For example, business strategy. Leadership have to plan, define, understand the strategy, specify plans and goals. Not in confusion words, but you have the clear words. You have defined, evaluate plans, verify the presence of the performance. Also, the financial resource to improve the measure of your human resource inside your enterprise. So we are learning how is important the learning inside the professional made through certification human resource. And then people management strategy, quantify the improvement for personal performance, indicator to improvement this kind of performance inside the leadership. Leadership and management strategy has to evaluate the importance to define the goals, the development, the performance of your personal resource. 2, we have to take actions that improve the performance of the organization, but this is a clear planning. This is a management effective to evaluate managers also activity. Managers are the idea, the clear idea of what do we do inside the enterprise. And then also the leadership inside the learning and development, the capability of your organization, the skill of quality management, and evaluate the quantification, the activity for personal development with clear indicators. Finally, we have the review. We have measure of the performance in your enterprise with management with the KPIs, evaluate and quantificate the return, the profit inside your enterprise. And then have the continuous improvement, so the value of quality management say Deming cycle. Then we can define democratic culture. So this is a new method, a new approach to reward, reliability, and reserve, and defend human resource. You have to underline the abilities of each one and achieve a new kind of result and its own potential for human resource system. We have a new kind of potential incentive and stimulus your human resource inside your enterprise. So the new approach could improve also a certification process inside your enterprise. You know that we have 3 kinds of certification inside of your kind of firms. Certification of first part is itself evaluation for performance of your enterprise. So we have the second part certification, such as your customers. But the most important kind of certification is the first part certification, because it is another subject, different from your firm, that relax this kind of certification. But so we have also the step to achieve this kind of important certification, and you have to underline the advantage of this kind of certification. This is also democratic of human research is very important because we have also a logo that enterprise could use to implementation, to increase the work, the profit, decrease the cost, and so on. But the final model is an idea of investment in people. So improvement, the excellent, improvement, the target inside the excellent. So we have a lot of steps inside this kind of certification. For example, this is not a cycle, this is a payment. So we have to start in different steps to achieve this kind of certification. The base, the plan, merit democratic business strategy. We have obtained, defined the objective of your skills. What can you do and how you can do it. So very important is the strategy for management, the people and the human research inside your enterprise. Please do the final two steps of this kind of certification, the performance measurement and continuous improvement of the performance inside your enterprise. So you can also receive the rewards, the prize, for quality system of your human research inside your enterprise. So we have also the strategy goals and steps to apply this kind of new strategy inside your enterprise. For example, we have to create an office inside each kind of enterprise to offer also the continued improving of planning regard and so on. So because the constitution of nuclei is for important people or university or professor or also extra work personal achieve that could improvement also the performance of your enterprise. So we can also apply this kind of strategy in a real case of study, also in different fields of your enterprise, and then we can base also in just protection authority. So this is very important to improve the democracy of this kind of market. And then we have a lot of advantage derived from democratic approach. For example, this is improve the property value of productivity, the profitability, and so on, because we have the reduction of the cost and increase the sales for consumer, also for the value of human resource, because the resource, human resource, the labor smells like a family inside your enterprise. Then another advantage is the reduction of cost and waste, because it achieves also they improve the formation, they improve the competition, and so we improve the management of material resource. And then we have also development, the competition. So you can also underline the hidden talents of each one, the human resource inside of your enterprise. And then we have also the customer satisfaction and increase also the leadership satisfaction inside of the work. And then we also update the professional, the skill of new technology inside your merit democratic approach. So we also underline the high motivation, the human research, and the defense of your job position. Last, you have also the security of the job position inside of your enterprise, and also the human resource inside the social motivation, the economic motivation, and so on. So the conclusion of this work is that this kind of approach underlines the immense kinship of each your human research, and then it's could improve This is also the fundamental factor for human resource improvement, and then we could also base this approach on multi-criterion decisions analysis, because you understand that we underline different kind of criteria: work, extra work, social, economic, and so on. And this kind of approach could underline the mix of different kind of criteria. And the last is also the growth, the profit of your company and then of your country. We can also promotion the development of the components of each other, and then it's very important the certification of human resource systems. Now we can explain the MCDA approach to identify the meritocratic values and catch the different kind of criteria to value human resource inside your enterprise. The second part of the relation.
Since I understand that you are very, very tired, and I like that to give you some insight with respect to this problem. If you understood the presentation, in this new strategy, you have to put together a lot of different points of view. Is it? The problem is how to put together this kind of information. Have you some idea? I like to be very intuitive in this presentation. I'm sorry because I have to introduce some notation, some mathematical notation, but I split the mathematical meanings. I like just to be very intuitive. Anyway, when you like to buy a car, how do you manage your decision process? Okay. Do you buy the car just with respect to its price? Only price? I think that you consider a lot of different points of view at the same time, no? Comfort, fuel consumption, speediness, and so on. Just an example. What is the problem? When we had to face a real problem, a real decisional problem, you have never only one objective to be rich. Usually in economics, you study that the objective of the company is the profit. Is it right? Only the profit? I don't think so. But in any case, a lot of different points of view. And in any decisional problem, we have a lot of alternatives, what we call feasible alternatives, the set of feasible actions. When we speak about decision, have you some idea about which kind of decision problem we deal every day? The most important, and this one, I like just to give you some intuitive idea what means choose, what is a classification, and what is a ranking. Usually, when we speak of decision, we associate the concept of decision to the concept of choice. What means choice? Do you have some definition about it? Usually this is the definition, the formal definition of a choice. We have a set of feasible alternatives, for example, the car produced in the world. And when we deal with a problem of choice, It is what the classical problem of optimization in operational research, mathematical approach. That is it possible to find the best action? But what is the best action? When we consider a different point of view, it's not possible to define the best one. Then in this case, we try to choose the best subset of alternatives, if possible, a singleton. But what means best is very difficult to define. The second and very, very important additional problem we deal every day is the problem of classification. Particularly important, the problem of classification in a preference way. What means? We have the alternatives and we try to assign each alternative to a class. But these classes are predefined and ordered in a preferential way. A classical example of this is, for example, in finance. Do you notice the rating? They notice the rating? No. Rating. Financial rating. Class A, class, and so on, so on, so on, for example. This means, for example, objects belong to class 1 are preferred to objects belong to the class 2, and so on, and so on. This is very, very important problem. The rating, that means to assign each alternative to one and only one class, ordered in a preferential way. The third very important decisional problem is the ranking. That means build up an ordering of the alternatives. This kind of result would be a partial or a complete ranking. What is a complete ranking? Complete ranking means that I put all the actions in a ranking such that if I compare any two actions, I can say if A is preferred to B, if B is preferred to A, or is not different. But in a lot of real problems, we have also the problem of incomparability. For example, if we compare this action and this, it's not possible to say if we prefer this or this. In a lot of real problems, it happens. I cannot have time to explain why I go deep in this problem. Usually, when we deal with a problem, we have this kind of situation. First of all, decision makers is not only a single person, but usually the single decision maker can be an organization, a committee. We call, in this case, a multi-person decision maker. Second, we have to consider not only one criterion, but a lot of criteria, for example, in the strategy presented before. Third, not always we are in a domain of certainty. I mean that the consequences of one decision, a lot of times, are uncertain, or in probabilistic terms, or in other terms. The most important idea, it is very, very easy to understand when we compare two alternatives with respect to different indicators, like in democratic strategy, we have the idea of dominance relation, very, very close linked to Pareto optimization. Do you know what is Pareto optimization in economics? Okay. The dominance relation means A dominates B if and only if A is at least as good as B with respect to each point of view considered. This is strictly linked to Pareto efficiency, dominance, and so on. Dominance relation is very important because I think if you have to choose one alternative, never will choose alternative dominated by another one. No? If we are consistent with our principle, with our decision, with our preferences. But the problem is that the dominance is to poor relation. I mean that only a few times we have that A dominates B. A lot of times we have no dominance relations among alternatives. I mean A is preferred to B with respect to criterion 1, that B is preferred to F with respect to K and 2 and so on. Then no dominance relation at all. And in this case, we have to receive by the decision maker other preferential information in order to be able to support the decision maker for his decision, final decision. Usually, we speak of criterion. What is a criterion? Criterion is a common word, it's an indicator. You can have, for example, with respect to the car, maybe the speediness, maybe the price, with respect to the democratic approach, maybe the ability to work, and so on. That, look, when we speak of indicators, if we like to be consistent from a methodological point of view, we have to understand if the information we receive are cardinal or ordinal. What means, for example, in customer satisfaction, do you know customer satisfaction? I think also the lot of questionnaires. We have, for example, level of satisfaction, high, medium, low. What is this kind of information? It's just a qualitative information. I mean the difference between low and medium doesn't exist. It's not sense. It's not sense. We have just an ordinal preference. When we speak about quantitative information, we have to consider if our information are ordinal scale, are interval scale or ratio scale. Completely different kind of information. What is this? Interval scale is a quantitative information where we have the zero natural. For example, when we measure temperature in Fahrenheit on the Celsius degree, does exist the natural zero? No, it's just a transformation. In this case, we are able to compute differences in this kind of evaluation, but never differences here. The ratio scale is a particular case where there exists a natural zero. For example, when we speak of prices, we can compare, for example, car A and car B with respect to the prices. Car A, the price of car A is 10,000 euro. The price of car B, 20,000. We can speak, in this case, we can say that the price of car B is 2 times the price of the car A. Because if you change the currency, for example, passing from euro to dollars, the ratio between remains the same. But is it possible, for example, make this kind of comparison with respect to temperature? If yesterday we have 40 degrees and today 20, is it possible to say that the temperature of yesterday was 2 times the temperature of today? In your opinion? Is it right or not in this sentence? No. No. Because we are comparing in the interval stage, not in the ratio stage. Then we can just speak about intensity. But this is just an example. The conclusion is that in a lot of real cases, people make a lot of confusion trying to put together information that can put together without a particular right methodology. Just 10 minutes. What is the main models? Don't worry with respect to the mathematical notation. Don't worry, don't worry. I like to explain it in a very, very simple way. The first one is the most used way to aggregate information, the weighted sum. So you know weighted sum, no? We have, for example, a lot of information. What happens with your marks, school marks, mathematics, in economics, in statistics, and so on? What is the way to use to aggregate your marks? The average, no? I think so. the mean. What is the mean? It is exactly put it together in this way. But the new approach proposed by what's called European school is completely different. Yes, please.
First question. In the first approach, is it that you have different attitudes and concerning to how high you score on them, you just build a mean? Is it just like that?
Yeah. For example, but it's very, very easy when you have, for example, marks because on the same scale. But put, for example, if you like to put it together using the weighted sum, the indicators of a car, speediness, price, comfort, and so on and so on, how to proceed? First of all, you should have only quantitative information. For example, I think the comfort, high, medium, or low is not possible to combine. Because if you transform this quantitative information in quantitative ones, it is not right. Okay. And also, we have to define what's called a trade-off. No? How to compare 1 kilometer speed mode with respect to €1 price mode. What is the trade-off? This is the concept that we study in economics. And it's very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult. This is a very sophisticated approach. By having not enough time to speak, but this is possibly one of the best. Last one is the new one. This was presented just about 15 or 20 years ago. It is what you call decision rule approach. It means if you have this, and this, then the conclusion is this one. This is something that you study, for example, maybe in operational research, the study operational research, or something like this? No? Operational research, the study optimization, no. Okay. No problem. Is it possible to show, it's possible to prove from a mathematical point of view that this is the most general approach. And means it is possible to model, for example, decision problem when you have interaction among criteria, not independence, and so on. But of course, I have not enough time. If you like, I can give you more information if you are interested. Look at the example. This is a very simple example. Suppose that decision maker consider only 2 criteria and represent and display the evaluation of the alternatives with respect to criterion 1 in this axis and with respect to criterion 2 in the other. And for example, the objective is the minimization. Imagine that at cost, not to minimize the objective function, both objective functions. If I consider the approach only with respect to criterion number 1, that is not a multi-criteria approach, but a mono-criteria approach, I will choose these alternatives, because these alternatives present the minimum value with respect to criterion 1. Is it? That's this. Okay? But if I will choose this one with respect to the other criteria, I will obtain the maximum value. That is not good. On the other side, if I consider only criterion 2, minimize this objective function, I will choose this alternative. Okay? But choosing this one, I have a very, very high value with respect to criterion 1. And if I try to consider both criteria together, I have to move in this plane by linear programming. Do you know what is linear programming? No, okay. I have to choose among different angles of this straight line, and I will obtain each time one solution among these ones. These are efficient solutions, or Pareto non-dominant solution. But after I have to choose among them, and how? It's not so easy. When we use a more sophisticated approach, we have to pay a price. What is the price we have to pay, the information needed by this approach. For example, when you use more sophisticated information like the ranking approach, we have to give, to receive by decision maker a lot of very, very difficult information about concentration, about weight, and so on. It is not so easy to obtain by decision maker its cooperation. The new way, the modern decision theory, is oriented to what we call induction from example. What is this? What means this? We present decision maker some example of decision, for example, a lot of different colors, described by different indicators, and ask him, for example, please, among these cards, could you tell me what are, in your opinion, the good one? What is a sum to classify a subset of cards in this subset? What happens? In this case, if you think a bit, in this case, we don't ask the decision maker to give us thresholds or other information, very, very difficult, but just to exercise, just to give us his result in a holistic way. And this is the very, very easy way to receive information. Okay, that is direct elicitation. Just to give an example and go to conclusion. In a lot of real problems, and I invite you to reflect a bit about it, decision maker is not consistent. And the reason may be a lot. Look, for example, if we have some students evaluate with respect to maths, mathematics, and physics, and one student is very good in both, another is a medium, and the third one bad or very bad. What happens if the dean, for example, assigns the yellow student to the class medium and the red one student to the class good? It is inconsistent with the principle of dominance. What is the principle of dominance? If student A has marks at least as good as student B in all subjects, he should be classified at least at the same level, at least on subjects. And in a lot of cases, look, for example, here, this is a real case from a high school from France. This is the dean was asked to evaluate the students for a master. Okay, this was the score, and this was the assignment of the dean. Look what happens with respect to student S1 and S2. Student S1 is at least as good as student S2 with respect to each subject. Good, medium, 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 bad, bad. But in the final classification was the reverse. The first one was classified bad, and the second one medium. This kind of inconsistent, in this example, happens only with respect to the first two students, not with respect to the other. One classical approach in this, what is your reaction with respect? This is happens in a lot of real decisions. What is your reaction with respect to inconsistency with dominance? The first reality, a lot of scientists say, what is your reaction?
In S2, the dominant factor is 2 times median. That's obviously why they choose medium as the overall result. In S1, as there was 3 different kind of answers, good, medium, bad. In the end, they rated them bad, even though this person was better in overall results.
Ella.
That's only the dominant
yes. First of all, yeah. This kind of information are qualitative or quantitative? Huh? Of course, qualitative, no matter. Is it possible in this case, is it possible to say, for example, that passing from low to medium, this is the same that passing from medium to high? No. No. we have just an ordinary, information. Another example, when we consider the car racing, what we call Formula 1, no? The time between the first and the second driver, or the time between the second and the first one, and so on, is it important for the ranking? No. No. This is only important if you arrive the first, the second, the third, and so on. Okay, this is the first problem. Why, in your opinion, we have inconsistencies in the real life problem? I think that the most important reason is that our model is not complete. That means, for example, in this model, some other subjects or some other features are not considered. But the first reaction of a lot of scientists is the following. Please remove all alternatives that are not consistent. In this case, for example, please remove the first two alternatives, the first two students. Do you agree with this approach? Why? No. Why not? Why? Why not? Because inconsistency contains very useful information. Decision maker, is always consistent? No. I invite you to think about your decisions if you are always consistent with yourself. Then, in approach we propose, for example, we don't remove inconsistency, but using inconsistency, we can obtain as final recommendation all certainty information, or positive information. I will go very, very fast to conclusion, showing an example, very intuitive, how we can apply this kind of problem. Look, for example, at this didactic example. We have some companies evaluated by the investment and by level of sales. Quantitative information, and this is the classification, the effectiveness of this company in qualitative way. High, medium, or low level of efficiency. These are the symbols. First of all, we can represent in a plane this, for example. Look, the first firm, level of investment 40, sales 17. Level of investment 40 and 17. This is a triangle. The symbols are the same of the previous one, okay? Second, we can define the dominance column. What is the dominance column? In this case, we have to maximize both functions, okay? Okay, that means go up and right is better, no? Go up and right is better. We can consider, for example, this alternative, define two coins. The dominance, positive dominance, and the dominating and dominated alternatives. These are the negative cones and these are the positive cones. That means, for example, that from a theoretical point of view, this should be preferred to this. Okay? Or this should be preferred to this one. And so on. The other idea introduced in the approach of Westend is what we call the approximation. Lower approximation. What is a lower approximation? If I consider, for example, some cards, I consider a card classified at the first level as good card. If I have another card that dominates this, what it dominates, okay, evaluated at least at the same level, we should expect that also this should be good. If it happens, we have what we call lower approximation. All objects dominating these are in the same class. But a lot of times happens this situation. Red is not so good as green. What happens here? You have some alternatives that dominates the best one, the first class, but globally as classified at level inferior. This is not consistent with respect to dominance principle. Then, just applying this very, very simple idea, then we can use this also with respect to ordinary information. Just applying this idea without introducing other pressure or weights, this is very, very important. This is possibly the unique approach that does not require other information, but just this. Using this, you can finally obtain some rules and just this information. What is this? No, not a formula. I will explain you. Is it possible, for example, a lot of real decisional problems that you can cancel a lot of indicators, you can skip this indicator, and the solution are exactly the same. I like to give you some information. The first time was applied this approach in about 1990 was applied to medical problems. They had to decide in Poland if cancer, you know what is cancer, this patient of cancer should be operated or not. In this hospital, they made 32 analyses. They used 32 indicators to decide if operated or not. Applying this approach, they were able to drastically reduce from 32 to 12 the number of analyses without the deterioration of information, with the same quality of information. This is the idea of reduct. I mean, I can obtain the same result in terms of quality, but drastically reducing the information I need. This is very important for the practical point of view. Finally, we obtain some rule like this. That means that is in a very, very simple way. For example, if the evaluation with respect to the quality, if the speediness is at least 160, the stabilize is at the most 12,000 euros, so on and so on. In this case, the car is classified at least medium and so on. Using this kind of rules and matching this rule with the new alternatives, we are able to classify the new ones. What use, for example, if you have two rules, one say this action is at least good, and another rule, this action is at least medium, you have to consider the intersection. The intersection between medium and good is at least good, and so on. Using this kind of information inferred by the software that use only dominance principle. With respect to the new alternatives, you are able to classify without asking new information to decision maker. The application, I have no time to speak about it, the application made in Sicily was exactly the first one. In the first phase, the decision maker gives some information classifying the candidate into groups, good and not, with respect to a sample. Applying the inferred rules by the sample, they were able to classify all the candidates into classes. The candidates classified in the best class, I remember was only 3, after they applied an alternate method in order to choose the best among these. This is just inside the spectrum CPA. I give you only an information. If you are interested with respect to this kind of research, we organize, not myself, but in the world, we organize every 3 years a summer school in this kind of methodologies in any country of the world. If you are interested, you can see in the website the Multiple Criteria Society or summer school, or please write some mail to me. I will give inside information about how to attend the school. It's very, very interesting if you like to be oriented in the management, in the subject of Professor Trummer spoke before, not because of leadership and so on. How to decide? Because the philosophy of this approach is just to suggest decision maker, to support decision maker in his decision, not to substitute a software or the analyst substituting the decision maker. Just the analyst should only support decision maker in his decision process, to be consistent, to be coherent with his personal preference model. This is our philosophy. Thank you so much.